Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's Office Hours with Our Hometown. My name is Matt Larson. I'm the president and CEO of Our Hometown. And today, as always, we have on the call, dialing in with us from our publisher support team, Terry and Vera. Welcome, both of you.
Hey, Matt.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So I want to jump right into it because today we're doing a run through of the webinars that we're giving this week. So that's a little bit of part of the news, I guess. And just as a reminder, you can always come to our homepage, come down and look at this slideshow for the latest news from the company. But this week we've got these two webinars lined up. I'm really excited about them. These are kind of, it's an ongoing thing, you know, as all these press associations are trying to figure out what to do. They are experimenting with virtual conferences more and more over the course of the year, which I think is really the model that they want to follow going forward. There's no reason to just have your conference once a year if it's virtual. So, you know, with the Illinois Press Association, they are doing this because they canceled their in-person conference last year, and we were supposed to go. So this is like kind of, they're doing it now. And I'm really excited about this one. This will be on Thursday. We've done this talk several times on increasing digital subscriptions. And so we're going to have an updated version of that for you. And we're going to go through a rough draft of that today. Actually, it's pretty much a final draft. I've done it so many times. But now we've got on Friday then in the afternoon at 1 o'clock, this is for Iowa newspapers. So if you're in Iowa and part of the association, then you should be able to gain free access to this. I think it would be paid otherwise. So contact your association rep and get the Zoom info for this. But this is going to be the Rethinking Paywalls presentation, which we did originally for NNA. And I really like that title because it's, you know, a lot of us are rethinking how we're doing paywalls, and we're seeing plenty of examples of papers, you know, as extreme as launching a paywall on a free print newspaper. We're seeing even, you know, rethinking of their model to that degree. But even if you already have a paywall on your site, you might want to look at the other options because there's a lot of different variations available, especially for the soft paywall. So that's kind of going to be the focus of that conversation, more of the different models. But we'll also discuss, you know, different techniques for marketing and growing the subscriptions. Okay, so we'll go through that more shortly. We have the ongoing password reset project. So this is something that may not have happened to you yet, but you'll know it when it does. So just keep an eye out for that. I don't think we've had a lot of questions or complaints about that, right, Terry and Vera? I think that's what you said this morning, Terry, but I don't know, Vera, have you seen anything from anyone since that first email?
I got one and I sent it to James. He didn't remember that it was going to reset, and he got locked out because he used his old password.
All right, no problem. All right, thanks for taking care of that. Okay, and just a quick blog post here I asked Jack to put together. I just thought would be a good idea. Probably going to have this published on the NNA website, and you know, I'm actually talking to editor and publisher about possible sponsorship arrangement where we would be able to post content on their site. I think things like this that are just general tips for internet security are we want to be putting out more of this stuff, you know, that anyone can benefit from. So this isn't just for WordPress. This isn't just Our Hometown. These are just general tips that we've accumulated in our experience in, you know, the website business for just, you know, maintaining a secure account. Because the bottom line is, this is very interesting. I heard this at a conference years ago. You know, the fact is that 81% of hacking-related breaches are due to compromised passwords, and I would take it further than that. It's probably 99% of hacking is basically a weak point in the security. It's due to a person. You know, that's the vulnerability, is where the people is with the people. So, for example, like hackers sending you phishing emails that are asking you to reset your password, and it looks like, it's mocked up to look like an email from your company. Maybe it even it's signed from someone that works with you. They can figure all that stuff out, but ultimately you have to reset your password. And so you are the vulnerability. So, we can create the best systems, the most secure technology, put up firewalls, but at the end of the day, it really is the strength of the password, and it's the human element. So these are some simple things that you can do to control that, to control the thing that creates 99% of the hacks. That's a pretty big deal. So using things like the medium or high strength password, in our case, we are implementing that so that it's forced going forward, but just generally speaking, you should follow that on all your accounts, even, not just WordPress. Using unique passwords across the web, we're just no longer living in a world where you can use the same passwords. So there's a lot of services that'll enable you to, not have to remember or have a list of passwords written out and type them every time. There's things like LastPass or even the Chrome browser password reminder that you can use for this. But the bottom line is you need to use highly encrypted, unique passwords, changing passwords, using two-step verification, and then keeping your antivirus and firewall up to date. These are all things that I do every day when I boot up my computer. It's just something that you get into the rhythm for. Just running virus scan, always using your phone for two-step verification. So this is, I think, a very high yield article, and it went out, I think, in the newsletter last week or maybe today. I think it was this morning. And then the last thing, just the holiday scheduling reminder. Anything you want to say on this, Terry? Did we have any issues with Thanksgiving at all, or did that all go pretty smooth?
The only issues that we had really with Thanksgiving, and there were only a couple, and they were basically due to our fault. We didn't specifically ask customers when they wanted their papers published on their site. We asked, when to expect files and things like that. And they said, oh, we'll receive them early.
Right.
But then, we might have had the files, but we didn't know if they wanted to publish early on the site or not. So we cleared that up in this newsletter, and people have been very good with following up on that.
Oh, great. Yeah. So once again, you will receive a notification if any of the following are true. You will publish your edition early. We would appreciate a notification. So, okay. That's great. Yeah, that's good feedback. So now it's part of the request. So when basically now, whenever someone tells us that they're going to send it at a different time, if they don't tell us the different publish time, we'll ask. Is that
right? Yep, that's what we had to do.
That's a good process. Okay, sounds good. All right, nice. I think that's all that I've really got this week. I mean, we did have some interesting news in journalism last week. Some high-level stuff happening with Facebook. They're getting a lot of antitrust legislation developing there. It's actually happening. Some cool things. Apple, kind of making it clear that they're not going to continue letting Facebook and Google collect data from users on their devices, which is a big deal. Like that. These companies feed off of data, and if one of the biggest device providers in the world, Apple, makes everything more secure and makes it so that people have to opt in to share data, it could really hurt these tech giants. So interesting stuff there. I just think I pull these out of the editor and publisher newsletter. He actually had a really cool blog post last week. This group of papers out in California, they were bought by local investors and bought back from one of the huge companies. I think it was like WIC Communications, which is like a huge group of newspapers. I don't know if they're owned by venture capital, but they're kind of at that level of like the Gannett, I think, and Gatehouse kind of companies. So anyway, that's just something we're always just kind of tracking news in the industry. And Terry, you pointed out something. What was that last week you dropped in Slack? I saw that, but I didn't really get a chance to read it. What was that article? That was something about Gannett?
Yeah, Gannett is outsourcing to India, I believe, for their accounting and that sort of thing. And I just wonder how that would I mean, might save publishers, but I wonder what the blowback will be for readers
Right.
who are staunch supporters of USA anything.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the whole globalist trend of outsourcing stuff is probably never been more in reverse. It was really accelerating in like the 90s and 2000 and early the .com period. But I mean, everything is just so different now. It's weird. Yeah. We'll see what the blowback would be on that. I don't see a lot of our customers doing that type of stuff. But
yeah, I wonder also if it's even something that they're going to make their readers aware of, or if they'll just try to kind of slide it under.
Right. Yeah.
It comes down to integrity, I think.
Yeah. I mean, to make the layout person really part of the team rather than just a process person. I mean, it's definitely going to be more economical, so I can, respect
well, I think
that.
this mostly was geared towards their accounting.
The accounting. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, just
not necessarily the.
Not any part of creating the print product.
Yeah, I don't think it has to do with that, but it does have to do with their operations.
Right. For sure. Yeah. No, I think a lot of the big companies are consolidating stuff in the U.S., but this may be, one of the first. I'm sure it's not the first actually to be doing that, but yeah, it's a big company to be doing that.
Well, I think it's also an indication of the financial status of the company too. I mean, you're going to look for all places to, increase your bottom line, but when it comes down to, okay, now we got to start outsourcing overseas, what does that say about the financial stability of your company?
Right. Yeah, now you're really reading between the lines there. And yeah, I think that's a big company. No, that's a good point. That's what's really happening. And these huge companies that are so dependent on the legacy model, I just don't know if that's going to work. I really think it's going to be the local independents, the mom and pops, like really light operation. You don't really need to be a conglomerate company to decentralize certain things or outsource the right things. Like what we do. We are an outsourcing company basically. We outsource the production or we are outsourced to produce websites. So yeah, I think there's certain things that you want to do that for, but yeah, if you can do it to another mom and pop company like our hometown, which is a family business based in the Northeast, upstate New York, that's obviously preferable. Cool. So thanks for bringing that to the table. I'll include that in the briefing, the weekly briefing of stories. So let's switch to this. I wanted to just run through this with you guys, and gonna kind of half give it, but also editorialize myself as I'm going through and just make comments. So if you could just maybe just take some real high level notes. You don't have to go into a lot of detail, but just anything that jumps out to you as things that you think are important to mention. And then I would just encourage you, when we actually do the conference, you're both going to be invited as panelists, of course. We're going to go over that at 1 with them, the test run. And so you can talk at any point, but I definitely want you asking those yellow questions. So, okay, so basically the intro would be, introducing myself and the company, and we're doing this in partnership with the Illinois Press Association. We have an ongoing virtual conference series, but we're proud to be partnering with the association on this one. And then just give the background slide right up front. I used to do this at the end. I think it should just come right up front so they have the context, so they understand where I'm coming from. Even though it feels a little bit salesy, it's fine. I think, especially to make this point, the last bullet point, I really like this one because it just sets up the tone for the rest of the presentation with the questions, where we're an evolving platform with a feature set based on publisher feedback. And it's all about the publisher feedback, and we hammer that away pretty much on every feature, every one of these points. So in the next 30 minutes, give them the overview, what we're going to talk about, and then basically then just get them to type their questions, or just get some data from people. See, this is I love this stuff because it's like it's such an amazing lead generation tool, because right now I have the emails of people. I don't even have their emails actually right now, because this is a state association run thing. It's their Zoom account. They're handling the registration. But if we can partner up with these organizations and then gather emails during the conference, I mean, they could have I don't know, maybe 50 people come to this thing. The last one I did for this association, I think, was over 50. So we could get a lot of leads through this. So we'll have them type their name. I should probably put email in there. Paper you're with. I mean, there's actually another point at the end.
If they give us the paper that they're with, we could.
Yeah, I just was thinking, I don't really like asking for the email here. There is a slide at the end where I ask for, I'm basically offer everyone a free prototype. Okay, I'm really going all in with this rapid prototyping. So anyone on this call would qualify for it. I doubt more than 2 or 3 will actually take us up on it. If more did, that would be a great problem to have, That's fine. But like this would be kind of new for us, because I've never actually met with these people one-on-one. To give them a prototype would be new territory for us. But I think we want to get into that, because we don't need to have this, bottleneck of having a meeting. Like, let's just do the prototype.
Yeah, you might want to emphasize too that it'll have their content. It's not going to be, a stamped out site. It's going to have content.
So, and this is what I say later on. Send us a recent PDF of your paper and we'll transform it into an interactive HTML website. Is that clear enough, or should I say with your content? Just to be totally clear.
Yeah, no, I think it's clear enough. I just don't want people to think that all the sites are going to look alike, that we just, we're sneaking around and just slamming out.
Right. No, yeah.
Our site.
Exactly. That would be more of a gimmick. This is like a real prototype generator. It's like, the Henry Ford assembly line, like revolutionary in our industry. Like, now we can crank these things out. So, okay, then we're going to move on to the first question. So if nothing else today, if you could both start a joint Google Doc and at least write down your questions like I did last time, but just write down all the questions as we go through them in that doc, and you guys can decide who's going to read what, and just send me the doc so I know who to kind of call on. I thought that worked okay, just so that I'm not, some kind of like addressing you rather than just saying, read the next question, I kind of like that. So this is the first one. I just made it up. How does this sound? I mean, is there anything that you would add to this? You wrote the questions last time, Terry, but I just kind of drafted this up over the weekend. I feel like this is like the number one. This is a good one to start with.
Exactly. Yep.
This is like what it's all about. This is kind of what I'm saying. Like, people are rethinking.
Those are the 2 most common questions we get asked. What are the paywall models? And you have examples.
Yeah. So then here are the models. Here are the examples. In the past, Terry, you've said that you thought it was good for me to click on these. Did you? You said that, right? To go through each of these?
Yep, if you have time.
Yeah. I'm just going to have to gauge it. This isn't really ending up to be like a real dress rehearsal. We're kind of just talking through it. So maybe I'll do just like a quick run through and see what my time is. But I've got a lot to cover here. So we've already talked about this a bunch of times. I'm using Chesterfield for the metered paywall. And yeah, I think it would be good to just click through those quickly.
Do you have the ability to create like a handout?
Well, we could send them a PDF of this. Yeah, we could just send them a PDF of the whole presentation.
Yeah, that's kind of
That's
along
a
the
great
lines
lead
of,
generator idea. That's really good.
and it goes along with the seminar type thing. You get those little bags, you know?
Yeah, that's really good idea. So where should we put that? So this is like kind of the sales slide. I mean, I guess I could put it on here, but just put it up higher. So these are going to appear as an animation, so they're not just going to all appear on the stage. So I can talk through them.
Mhm.
And then, what did you like? I like about the presentation. I could just say email ops if you want a PDF, I guess. I'm just thinking like we could send them to a form, but we'll just have them email. Copy of the slides.
With clickable
And I'll
links.
try to remember to mention that throughout, like on that slide. That's a good point. Like just to say,
Right, yep.
I'll even put it here at the bottom. Forget it. I mean, no need to remember anything.
And that way, if you don't have time, you don't have to click through. You can just mention that the links are clickable in the PDF if they email ops.
Yeah, exactly. The only thing is I don't really know if I have time at this point, you know, because it's so early, but I'm gonna have to fix this. Okay. I don't know why that's looking so weird. I hate how this turns everything purple. Okay. Oh, and I actually use slightly off black. Okay. Great. That's a really good idea. I used to think like I should have my email in the bottom of every slide. I don't know. Do you think that would be necessary just so that like at any point they think I want to follow up with him?
No, I don't think that's necessary. I think if you put it once and
I
then
have it at the beginning and I have it at the end.
Yep, because people will be saying, where's that link? Where's that link?
Right. Yeah, I think that's fine. Okay. All right. And then I have to remember to actually for this one we can't really do the poll because it's their Zoom. So we'll just do it through the questions area and just try to see what type of paywalls people have. So, we can kind of focus on certain ones. Okay. And then I like this slide in here just because anyone on the call, I just want to make it clear if you are a free newspaper, paywalls should be something that you're considering right now. In the past, you probably just kind of wrote it off as something that's not going to fly, but we're seeing more and more examples of that. Here's a case study of a publisher. This is why he did it. This is like the most I don't know, the best way to boil down the issue here, which is just that it's pure economics and we need to support the newsroom online long term, and digital advertising just isn't covering it. So it's a metered paywall because it's a free site. I think you want to use metered, and these are his prices. So that's just kind of like a quick little case study, and we're gonna talk about the Acorn more later. But let's get back to the FAQs now at this point. So then, can we automatically send a renewal notice to remind readers when their subscription expired? Yeah, so this one is kind of like setting me up for a slam dunk because then I can say, well, we can do you one better because we can send reminders, but we can also just auto renew the subscription, which is what you want to do. And then just go through all the reasons to do that. It's more convenient for the customer. A lot of publishers pitch it that way. They don't pitch it as like a feature. It's not just like, when in reality it's better for business. That's why we're doing it, but it also is like a nice feature for the customer. And it's just in general what everyone's doing. This is the Netflix model, month to month auto renewing subscriptions. Okay, then we jump right back to another FAQ, recommend pricing. So yeah, I didn't say anything about pricing in that one. Good. All right, so then I just like to make these a little more interesting to look at. So then one of you would read this. How would you recommend we price digital subscriptions? And then I'm just going to go through, I can't get into too much detail without knowing about the paper. So I'm going to just say, like, these are the ranges that we see, but it really depends on the print price. A lot of it, that's a lot of people's starting point. And we would recommend charging 125% of the print price because they're getting access to the archives. So that's usually why people end up around the $5 to $6 point, because a lot of papers are $1 or $1.25, a lot of weeklies. So, and then that also leaves you room to discount. So, I guess I just hope that this comes through as like, there's flow here. I mean, is this all logical? Because I feel like as I'm going through it now, I basically pulled slides from like 3 different presentations. But do you feel like it flows naturally, like talking about these points here?
Yeah, can you go back just one slide?
To the question?
How would you, that is like, we get asked that so much.
Yeah.
I don't think publishers know how, sometimes they don't know how to price their print subscriptions, but we're always asked to compare them to
Right.
other publishers.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So that's right. So that's why I'm presenting this one example of Cecile, but I'm also trying to give a range, and I think this is pretty accurate. I mean, it's not like I've done any like hard data crunching here and figured out what the actual range is. This is just like anecdotally what I've seen.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good starting point, and I think just to point out that it's based on your print makes sense.
Yeah.
That's an interesting point. Maybe at this point I could mention part of what we do when we're launching a new website is help build the business model. It's part of our website audit. Maybe I could just drop that little teaser here.
Good. Yeah.
I'll mention it at the end. Okay.
That'd be real good. Another thing was
All sales. It's
yep.
Everything.
With the reminder,
Yep.
You want to say that we can also target.
You
know what I mean?
Oh, target with the reminder on like
the
X subscribers.
Expired, X expired, or X.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about that. That's later. That's actually. Gotcha. So tell me if it. Yeah, I think it makes sense later because it's part of the whole marketing subscriptions section. So let me just add here contact. I'll just say email Matt. A free website audit business plan.
Or even say, just something that this is part of our service to our hometown customers.
Okay, yeah. So as part of new website design, we help publishers I'll just say that which it includes a digital subscription model, projecting based on the print circulation, and also using industry standard CPMs and your current page views. We try to project ad revenue and put it all together into one picture.
I would say Instead of we help, I would say our hometown helps. Put the name out there.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. Nice.
Definitely. Yeah, because it's just we're kind of going in and out of like just helpful information and self-promotion. So we have to kind of bring them back our hometown, right? Bring them back to our hometown lens. We look at this through.
Yeah, plug our hometown.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Looks good. Thank you. This is very helpful. So, and let me know if you think of anything and you want to jump back to an old slide as we go on here. But now we shift to the marketing part. So I kind of want both of these presentations to be about deciding what to do for your paywall, rethinking it and looking at all the options, and then also marketing it. And once you decide what to do, how to like grow it at scale. And so then what do other publishers do to market subscriptions to the website? We have many followers on Facebook and email subscribers on our newsletter list. This is common too. I'm not making these questions up, but I know you guys are seeing all the actual questions day by day. So would you say that this is something that comes up?
Yep, sure does.
Yeah, and so that's what, we wrote that article about promoting your website. So I guess that's kind of where I got the idea for this phrasing. But then it just leads into, this is the same old thing that I've done 3 times now. So basically I say it's all about getting people to this screen where they see the subscription products. And the way we do it is first advertising on the home page. You've got buttons that you can run. You can have display ads that talk about the details of the benefits of a subscription, but I think just a nice, simple, clean button like that says support local journalism. In this case, they were donating, but you could be subscribed today. That's at a minimum. You got to just make it easy for people on your site to subscribe. So
right,
you want
and have it there so that it's one of the first things on mobile.
First things on mobile, right. That's a good point. Yep, I have to remember to mention that. I always forget that for some reason. So if I don't, just jump right in there. I think it would be really good if you guys jumped in and like you could even just interrupt me in something like that. Don't feel like you need to like slack me and say you forgot to say this. Like it'd be cool. Like you said, I think with Kevin Slimp, it just to have the conversation is always better. Okay, and then article teasers. This is another point of decision making, I guess, for the customer. Like we want a call to action at the point that they would have seen the article. Like this is the point where we really want to focus on what does the user see, what information are we giving them, because people landing on teasers and hitting the paywalls are the ones that are going to buy. So you can customize the wording here, exactly what you want to say. Maybe it's a metered paywall, so you would say you've reached your limit. Please subscribe to have unlimited access to sports, obits, blah blah blah. Just like really sell it here, and also remind people that they can just log in if they already have a subscription. That's kind of like just good customer service. You want to make it easy for anyone that is on a new computer, hasn't logged in since they bought their subscription, and just make it really easy for them to claim their their second active session, because we allow a certain number of active sessions per account, so people can use different devices. Any questions on those two or anything to add?
No, I would really stress advertising in print though. Put your
Yep. I have a slide for actually every one of these. So I go down the list is kind of what I'm doing. So now we're on the third one. You want to promote it in the newsletter, either with a graphic or like a text message at the top. And then social media, I like the way Cecile does it. I'm going to point out that she puts the price in there and she writes this custom 1-sentence teaser for Facebook. And then the print edition, we definitely want the URL, in the header, the nameplate of the paper, so it's easy to find. We've seen a lot of people put it in the footer on every page of the print edition, so somewhere down here, but on every page, so it's just really easy to refer to that. Let's actually look at this. What did I do? Oh yeah, that's what that was. The ideas from our blog was this page, which we just talked about. So at this point, I like to include this because then it's just promoting the blog, and I can talk about how we're writing 2 or 3 blog posts a week about best practices. And then I'll just point out, we covered this earlier, but these ideas of making the website an extension of your print and vice versa, like they're not just 2 separate products, but they're one, and you're using them both for their strengths, I think is a mentality people should get into. So like, for example, the website is good for displaying things that have, a ton of data, like hundreds of pictures from an event. So you want to put them on the website and then promote it in the print edition, because you've got this great audience. That's, the legacy audience. That's your one of the valuable things about having the print product. We want to leverage that and drive them to the website, so then they can really, get the most of what we have to offer, because otherwise they're going to see just 2 pictures from the event in print. Also, continuing the story online, again, just like you have unlimited space online, so market that and don't limit yourself in terms of what you're putting out there, because like, for example, let's say you've got a story about the school board meeting, and there's some attachment that is referred to in the article, and it's this 20-page PDF.
Yep.
You would just want to make sure you put that on the website, and any readers on the website are going to benefit from that, but just make sure people know, your print audience knows it's there. Okay. Also, we love this idea, if anyone's using audio articles, you want to promote not just the continued story and the additional multimedia content that's on the website, but you want to promote the features, the unique ways that you can consume the news. So a lot of our customers are using audio articles. I guess if there's time, I'll do a quick promo of this, which automatically transcribes all the text on your website into mini podcasts. And so there, you could use, again, your print audience, which, there's probably a relatively large subset of that is going to really love podcasting in addition to print. Maybe they don't read the website and they don't read it on their phone, but they'll skip right to the podcast, form of media. Who knows, because they each have their own benefits, and these days everyone's different on their preferences. So we want to create media on all these channels and cross promote them. So you're promoting the print edition in your audio articles and on the website, and vice versa. We already talked about interact. What's that?
Is there a way you can plug in somewhere that all our hometown websites have access to the blogs right on their dashboard?
That's a good point. Yeah. So
just another little promo for OHT.
Just another little tidbit. Yeah. I'll try to think of a place to include that in the presentation, just as like a bullet point, because
or just like by the way,
Yeah. No, it's just honestly, I'm so focused on the slides that I really don't just. I'll sometimes come up with random things like that, but I'm just afraid I'm gonna forget. So I'll just say I'm gonna leave that to you to remind me if I don't mention it. Like at the point that I mentioned the blog. Yeah, if I don't mention it when I'm talking about this blog post, definitely bring it up. That's a good one. Interactive content online, because we're not really going to look at the back end of any sites. That would be a natural thing to do. Maybe there's a point that I could do that, actually.
I wrote it down.
No, that's good to write it down too, but I just I do kind of want this presentation to just like be
Be
complete
itself,
and stand on its own. Yeah. We could possibly log in to like MemberPress on this page. That might work. I'm gonna think about that a little bit more. I actually have an unfinished slide, so maybe we can include it there. But here's the last thing. So we do the blog post, and then we're gonna talk about YouTube. Okay, so this is an idea for 2021. It's still something that's kind of in development for us. We're producing these manually right now for a paper in Alabama. And so it's really kind of a proof of concept prototype. But the idea is that we're using audio articles. So we really need to mention audio articles. We need to hit that because it's going to tee off for this. We're using audio articles to create long form podcasts, entire episodes, or entire articles published as video as well. So let's take a look at this example. You can hear that the narrator is an automated transcribe tool. So there's a human voice in the beginning for just the intro, but then it's going to turn to the audio articles feature. And you'll see what we're doing is trying to promote the website, promote the print edition through video. But you know, the thing with video is that everyone wants to get into it. It's just how do you get into it in a way that's economical, actually makes sense, you know, ends. I mean, it's not, you're not just losing money on it, is the bottom line. And I think something automated like this could be a way to do that. So let's just watch this example.
You are listening to the Clark County Democrat Audio Articles Podcast. To get unlimited access to all the news on clarkcountydemocrat.com, you can subscribe for just $8 per month. Use the coupon code PODCAST to get your first month for just 99 cents. Again, that's coupon code PODCAST to get your first month for just 99 cents. Now, let's head to the news.
Okay, just I want to point out really quick, that's your, you know, that's the reason you're doing this. You're promoting subscriptions through a new channel. For the younger people that get all their news through YouTube, now we can actually reach them. So if you do something like this on an intro, you've got a canned intro, you use that every time. Now you're going to hear the voice change and read the articles.
County native who worked with Dr. King on Montgomery bus boycott dies at 101. A Clark County native and minister who worked with Martin Luther King during the Montgomery bus boycott of 1956 has died. Ray Watley died December 3rd in Asheville, North Carolina, at the age of 101. He was a champion of better racial relations and human rights and dignity all of his life, something that often got him in trouble during his early years pastoring churches.
So what we actually did in this example, this is an audio edition. So it's got teasers from multiple stories from the latest edition. And, you know, we're long-term hoping to automate this, but this is manually put together. But a lot of the work is done by that audio articles, because that's a huge time saver to just have a perfectly recorded, you know, perfectly clear audio file. That could take hours to record, you know, because you're going to have errors and then you're going to have to edit it after. So I think just to lay that foundation of the audio and then add different visuals on top creates a way for newspapers to actually get into newspapers in a practical way. Newspapers to get into video in a somewhat practical way. So that one, I'm a little bit like, is that a little bit too like left field, or is that interesting to you guys to know that we're like eyeing getting into YouTube?
You know, I think that's good. I think you should say something like getting into podcasts and video without buying a ton of equipment.
Right. Equipment, software, or even investing in like a new media person. Yeah,
Exactly.
that's a better way to put it.
I think you should also mention that you're targeting a different generation of audience.
Right.
You know, like
Right.
your newer people, like your millennials. You want to stay current and focus on that, because I think that would express the value of it.
Right, right. You know what? That's such an important point that I'm just going to type it in here. YouTube for I'll just use the term millennials, even though we're talking about, like, technically, I'm talking about people even younger than that. I don't even know what they're called now.
Yeah,
I would
millennials.
just say, targeting a new generation of, audience, or audience
Yeah.
for a new generation or readers.
A new generation of readers, I'm going to say. I like that.
Of consumers, new generation of news consumers.
That's awesome. I like that.
Let's see, let me fix this link. I think I don't want that all hyperlinked. Wait, how do I?
Or Matt, I feel like we're telling you,
No,
carry
that's
the
okay.
key, ride the dog.
My editing skills are on display here. Let's see, there's that. I think that's all the right color. I might have to mess around with the size on this stuff a little bit. Just gonna actually do this. See, it's annoying because I have all these separate slides. If I change one, then I kind of have to change them all, but I guess I'll just change this one and make them all a little bit smaller. Yeah, the last slide changes so much. Everything turns blue, and this is fine. Okay, so we're at 15. Yeah, okay, so that works. Targeting, I can actually make that bigger now. Yeah, that's a really good point to make. Sometimes I don't make these points because I think they're kind of obvious, but you gotta say these things. That's a good one. All right, cool. So,
I don't know if it helps, but in my experience, the clearer you are, even though you think it's obvious, it may not be to other people because everybody thinks differently.
Well, this is why, I definitely believe that.
That looks good.
So that's why having you guys on more of these calls, more webinars, and more sales calls is just really helpful for me because it's just kind of been me on my own out there. And I started recording myself, and that's good feedback, but still, it's just my own feedback. So, all right, now after we talk about marketing, I think it's a natural transition to go back to the Acorn and talk about how they launched their paywall, because that's something that maybe we even need another question here. Like, I'm worried about how my audience will respond or something like that.
Yeah, that would be a good lead-in.
Because what I'm going to say is that what you can do to ease people into it is what they did during COVID. So there was a different situation for them, but we've seen other publishers since follow this model to launch a registration wall that's free access. It's just not open access. So you have to create an account. The account's free, and then you have unlimited access. But without the account, you're totally shut out. And what that allowed them to do is generate a large list of emails, and then once the paywall was back, they have this list of emails that they can target with special offers. So that's where the marketing, you kind of have this foundation for marketing with all these channels, having it in print, having it in social media, and just getting, the word out. But then basically over time, you kind of want to, what's the word? Just kind of grease or, add fuel to the fire a little bit. So you got this system set up that's advertising the price everywhere, and it's very clear what the benefits are. And then you still got people that are on your newsletter list that aren't paying. So what is it that's preventing them from buying, but they're still reading our newsletter? It's, most likely the price. So that's how you can, start to grow the subscriptions. Once you have your model all in place, You offer targeted special offers in a smart way. You know, you don't necessarily just blast these out and just advertise them all over the place. What you can do is use a tool that we have on WordPress and you might have on your system. You know, I sometimes like to say that so it doesn't just seem like you have to come with us to use this. But if you have some type of way to target people that are on your newsletter list that are not active subscribers, our system brings together the data from the subscription plugin and the newsletter plugin and compares the two and identifies a list of emails that are not active subscribers, but they are subscribed to the newsletter. Those are the people that we want to hit with special offers, either, you know, an introductory month that's a discount, or the Acorn, when they did it, they offered a whole year that was discounted, I think like 20% or something like that, from $36 to $25. So that's probably like 30%. But anyway, see, this part, it just doesn't seem that natural to me to, and also I feel like we're getting a little long. Oh, geez, we're running out of time here. So I think we better wrap it up here because we got to get ready for this other test with this woman. So let's end it here. I think I'm gonna have to cut this down though. This is already too long. But do you guys have any general feedback at this point? Like everything that we covered up to this point, did that all make sense?
Yeah, I think it's good. I think it's real good.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think I just need to go over this. Okay, yeah.
We did a lot of talking too, so.
Yeah, right. No, okay, sounds good. All right, well, let's wrap this up then, this office hours, and switch over to, let's see, where is it? The Zoom stuff. So did you guys both get those invites? I think you mentioned you did, right?
Yep.
I did, yes.
Okay, cool. Let's switch over to that, and we'll just, I don't think we really need to do much, except I'll just test sharing my screen and test that you guys have audio. That's it. Should be good. All right.
All right, thanks, Matt.
Yep. All right, talk to you later. Thank you both.